this is William Tincup and Ryan Leary, and you're listening and hopefully watching the Practitioner Podcast. So we have a wonderful guest on today. Before we ask that, Ryan, how are you doing today? How are you doing?
Wonderful.
Okay. I love it.
I could go into more detail.
I got to check in with you. I got to check in with you every once in a while, just see how you're doing.
You know what? I'm on my third cup of coffee today, and you know what? There's a difference for me. I don't know if you get this. If I have 4, 5, 6 cups of water versus 3 cups of coffee.
Oh, 100%.
Like, it's the opposite. Like, I don't feel fresh. I feel like I'm ready for bed.
Yeah, but you're talking to a Canadian, and it's Tim Hortons is a thing. It's a legit thing, especially in Toronto.
I feel like that's a sticky topic. I'm not sure I'm going to jump.
No. We're not. There's no Dutch Brothers, Starbucks. We're not going to get into any of that stuff.
I own McDonald's. I mean,
small
local coffee shops. That's a big thing.
That's a thing. But I just because of all the time I've spent in Ottawa and in Toronto, Tim Hortons is legit. It's a thing, and I was uneducated and got educated.
I'm totally uneducated because I thought you were talking about a food place.
No.
That's how bad.
They have it's better than Starbucks. So imagine a Starbucks.
Like Canadian is the Canadian Dunkin' Donut.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
That's it.
Got it.
That's it. That's a really
I am very simple when it comes to coffee.
Yeah. You're not ordering enough.
I don't even do. This is how bad it is, Gabrielle. It's my wife makes coffee in the morning. It's the single serving, right? Yep. She does her cup, and then I just hit it again, and it goes through, and that's my cup of coffee. Ooh. I don't even know if you can consider that coffee.
That's coffee-flavored water. That's not even coffee
Based
anymore.
on her face, I'm going to say that is not coffee.
Gabrielle's about to school us.
Yeah.
Gabrielle, would you do...
She's like, let me tell you something. We talk French up here.
Mm-hmm. Do us a favor and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
I'll sip my coffee.
So in French, that's café. We'll start with that.
There we go.
Hi, I'm Gabrielle in French. That was my French, I promised. I am the VP of Talent, DAB, and People Insights at 1Password. Based in Montreal, a native French speaker, and so sometimes I will maybe drop a bit of French here and there, just to keep it natural or stay true to myself.
That'd be cool.
I love that. So give me the title again real quick.
VP of, it's a long title, VP
of
that's Talent, because I own the talent acquisition team. I oversee the talent acquisition team.
Okay.
DIB, so diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging.
Okay.
I also actually lead our employer brand and internal comms team.
Okay.
And then People Insights, so basically people analytics.
Wow. Okay, so first of all, how did all 4 of those things come together?
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, like, do you run the cafeteria as well? Like, what are you doing there?
I mean,
we're fully remote, so maybe I would if we were in person.
There you go.
Fair enough. I like employer brand and recruiting. Like, that's logical. Hard. Like, I get that. I think I could see DI, I could see that as well. A lot of people in talent acquisition also cross-functionally either own that or have a hand in it. But people analytics typically is like a different.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's someone else. So it's first of all, congratulations, because it is a lot of responsibility, and you got your hands. You probably never have the same day twice.
Nope. And that's what I love, frankly.
Yeah. So, how did you get to that space? How did you get to that specific space of having those 4 different responsibilities?
So I joined 1Password like 2.5 years ago. And how I joined 1Password was that a former colleague of mine put me in touch with someone that he had worked with in the past, our Chief People Officer, Katia Laviolette. And she was just about to join 1Password, and we started having some conversations and seeing what we could explore. And I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. Frankly, when you're about to look for your next gig, people often ask, oh, what do you want to do? What do you want? And I was like, I want to contribute. I want to thrive. I want to be part of something. I want to believe in the mission, the value, like a lot of what could sound like soft stuff to folks, but what was for me like true meaning, right? and I want to be stimulated. And I came from the world of consulting. We can talk about that later, but I do love numbers. I came from a world that was very like fact data driven. And 1Password actually didn't have that function. And so there was also a lot of like building and setting up. And so she was trying to create something that would be meaningful, meaty, something she was passionate about. She strongly believes in like people analytics. And so she put it together, and I mean, it was a bit of a thought process, obviously, but I was sold. And so it's lived up to exactly what I would hope. And we've pretty proud of what we've done. It's been a lot of fun, honestly.
Yeah. So I know it's going to be hard to do this. So paint it broadly. What do you do? So you have all these titles, right? And I know there's very specific roles in each of these. I'm assuming you don't say Monday I'm in. Yeah, we say like Monday I'm in talent, Tuesday diversity. Like, I know you're not doing that, but what is your?
How do you keep track of it all?
Yeah, like what are you doing? How do you manage all of that?
Yeah, well, the first thing I'll say, which might be cheesy, but I'm incredibly well surrounded. So I have a phenomenal team and phenomenal leaders that lead each of those pillars. So that's the first, I think, key to success. And so a lot of what I do is sponsor and mentor those folks. So I spend a lot of time making sure that they have the support, that they have the room. So we connect. What is consistent in my week is almost an hour with each one of them, at a minimum an hour with each one of them, to just chat through what's going on, what are the roadblocks, what's the vision, tactically or up there high in the sky. So that's, I guess I'm like the chef d'orchestre. There you go, another French word for you. The orchestra, maestro.
The maestro. Okay, gotcha.
And so that's a lot of what I do. I also help set the vision. So by spending time with each of them, getting to know what they're passionate about, what they're seeing throughout the company, based on what I'm hearing throughout the company, because I'll join a lot of other meetings with other functions, with other operational leaders, and try to understand what is top of mind right now at 1Password, what are we going through, and how can my functions really support that, enable that, help the rest of the company thrive while being true to those mandates, let's say, and those priorities. So I help put all that together and make sure that it stays top of mind, and so that we're not going like this, or that we're not kind of operating blindly, but really staying focused and anchored in all of that. And then solve like all the thousands of random problems that come up. Like you can imagine DIB, with everything going on in the world, there's constantly new things thrown our way. Same with people analytics, there's troubleshooting, there's brand new things, new ways of looking at the data, new data sources we might want to integrate. So there's always new things that pop up. There's AI right now on the hiring front. So staying on top of all of those things and making sure that we problem solve that together as a team, and that we try to stay at the forefront.
Last question about your current company is there a through line that goes across, a thread that goes across all four of the responsibilities?
Me?
Yeah.
No,
Me? I am.
There is, because they all interact at one point or another. So we bring people analytics to employer brand. We bring people analytics to hiring. We bring people analytics to DIB. We bring DIB to hiring. We bring DIB to employer brand. We bring DIB to analytics. So analytics serves DIB, but DIB serves how we frame up. So they do all really interact, and they really interact with my peers as well, right? In the compensation and benefits world, in our HRBPs and learning and development. So even across the HR function, but within all of my worlds, I very often bring them all together. And then what I love to do is we just stop and ask ourselves, okay, what's happening at the company right now? What's happening in the market? And how do we help each other out? What's top of mind for each of you? And how do we get all that knowledge together? How do we get those priorities together and problem solve it in a more holistic way versus being like, tell me about talent today. Tell me about, I think it
seems like it's also on a foundation of data. All of the things that you do, because of where your background and things like that everything is data driven. Like, again, you're not this isn't an HR function of 30 years ago, where people really had to do things on instinct, and because they didn't have the data, or they did have the data, didn't know what to do with it.
Very much so. It's data, but it's also people. It's also like who are these humans? We're supporting these humans at this great company, and we want them to be in a place to thrive. We want them to be in a place where they're really set up for success, and they help 1Password be successful. They help us serve our clients, and so it also brings the human element, actually. And so that's what I like, actually, is being able to bring those two fronts, because in isolation, to me, they feel quite incomplete, whereas bringing them both together, then I thrive. Like, then I'm like, and yeah, you can ask my team, they know that it's like the Gab that we have. We use a lot of emojis, and like I have the monkey. There's not the monkey, there's a dog that goes like this all the time, and that's when we're talking about that stuff. I'm like,
so you want to go backwards a little bit, William?
100%.
And let's start
100%.
learning about the journey. So the idea here, Gabrielle, is that we want to understand your journey. How did you get to where you are today? You just don't start and get to where you're at. So let's understand that a little bit. Go back towards university, college, and what did you want to be?
Yeah.
What did you come out and say?
What was the
I wanna
dream?
do?
I'm gonna say ballerina. Go ahead.
I did do ballet.
I was going to say VP of HR.
But I didn't want to be a ballerina. No, that's a tough job.
That is a tough job.
That's
legit.
One of my
tough.
daughters, Gabrielle, watches. She's watching Dance Mom, like all the reboots of Dance Mom, and in between, there's a lot of ballerina or ballet and stuff like that. My God, the feet on these kids, and they're young, they're 12, 13, 10.
Oh yeah.
And their feet are just wrecked.
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well,
yeah.
I dated a ballerina at one point in my life, and the rigor in which, I mean, they're athletes. So it's no different than, any other type of athletes, but the rigor and you're falling down on wood.
Yeah.
Like we don't talk about that. They're not in pads either. They're
but
falling
it looks
down.
graceful.
Yes.
It does.
graceful.
It does. But man, those bruises are legit.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
So what was the dream?
What
for
was the
Gabrielle?
dream? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have like one specific dream, frankly. I remember when I was looking at the university programs, I was like, maybe I could be an architect, maybe I could be a lawyer, maybe I can be there. And then I had this thing of like someone that manages stuff, like maybe in the hotel industry. I mentioned briefly when we were catching up before, I worked for the Olympics. So, that was an industry that interested me. And so I was exploring a lot of things. My dad, actually, I ended up getting the same degree as my dad, but my dad studied in business. I knew I liked to like manage a lot of things, organize a lot of things. I was able to multitask a lot, but as per everybody, like rarely do you dream of being in business, right? Like,
yeah.
And in parallel through university, and even before that, I had always worked in summer camps, sleepaway camps.
Oh yeah.
And when I started working, I had always been a camper, and then I started working there. And then quickly, I actually started getting promoted just like by being me, just by being super organized, by helping lead others, by being very thoughtful about, like, I was 16 and I was managing 120 kids, 20 counselors, most of them older than myself. And so it worked. Like, I was good at it. And so I continued doing it, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. It was very stimulating and motivating and rewarding, frankly. And so that's when I was like, well, maybe I can study that and do something like that somewhere, somehow. But again, where I am today, or how I landed at 1Password, was true then. It was like, I just want to enjoy what I'm doing, frankly. And so I figured I'll go study business, and if I need to reorient myself towards a very specific topic or whatnot, I could always do that. But in Quebec, the specifics is that we go to university right out of college. So when we start university at like 17 or 18, and then by 20, you're like done and in the workplace for good. Like, so it's quite young and it goes pretty fast.
That sounds so daunting. I mean, same here, right? Like 20, I guess I was 22-ish.
I was a little bit older because I skipped. I took years off between high school and college.
Yeah.
So the stay-away camps, were they week-long or were they month-long? Like
the kids would join us for 2 weeks. So they would arrive on a Sunday, stay with us for 2 weeks. They were campers from so the first year I was in charge of like the age groups. We had campers from Mexico, Korea. Yeah. They were kids from all over. And I'll always remember one of the stays, we called them like 2 week stays. One of them, we got a gastrointestinal
Oh yeah.
epidemic of some type.
Oh,
And
no.
so I was managing kids in and you don't call parents, like you figure it out.
No.
And so I was managing like kids and counselors in like isolation, taking them out, cleaning stuff, kids helping rotations of like staff and rotations of, and I'm a parent now, and like I look back and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What was I? Yeah.
And you were a camper before, so as a child, you went to camps.
Yeah.
And so I love that, by the way. I love summer camps for kids. I just think it's a great way to learn.
Yeah.
What was it? Was it kind of the traditional, kind of old school archery, horseback riding, that type of stuff?
Yeah, it was a camp that was like based on the Olympics values. So there was a lot of like, biking. We had circus, we had gymnastics, canoeing. But as I grew up, I did these like leadership programs. I did a leadership program where they even threw us in the wood and did this like 3-day survival. You had like your little sandwich bag and you had a sandwich. And I had 2 slices of bread, a cheese, an apple, crackers, little bag of nuts. And that was it for 2 nights and 3 days. And you had to like figure out your food, and we were allowed to bring 3 things, but we had a book to journal and to write stuff. And so I think when you're young, you don't know what leadership is, but I think I felt like I had something of that in me. And I was always drawn towards these opportunities where, like, if you put me in a group of folks, I won't be the person that's like, I've got y'all, like, this is what I'm going to be the one that takes the lead. But if everyone turns to me, I will step up and I will, and so I think I was lucky enough to be put in these circumstances where I was able to do that, where people did turn to me, or it's a lot opportunistic as well, right? Because frankly, when I got the first management role, there was a leader in place. He was overseeing me, and he unfortunately burnt out and left after a week, didn't come back, and so they said, "You're up." Like you're
after a week.
Yeah. Well, sleep. Yeah, I guess maybe it wasn't his thing. The sleepaway camp, like,
yeah, it can happen. I mean, especially dealing with kids, and kids are chaotic, and especially
you're like, all these parents turn to you and they're like, you're a lot of people's parents. You're managing staff. You're like it's 24/7.
Yeah,
like
I mean, and again, it's chaos, right? So it's kids are. There's always something going on, so, especially if it's the first time they've been away from home.
Yeah.
Then you've got to navigate that bit. Oh. Yeah, that's a navigation itself. So, what did you do next?
So I did that. I would spend my summers doing that,
right.
And then went to university. Then I figured I had to get a grown-up job, so I started doing internships, which frankly I didn't like love too much, sitting in an office versus spending my summers out in summer camp. Obviously that was a bit of so a lot of questioning myself of like, am I doing the right thing or whatnot. Then I realized that by the time I was graduating, there was going to be the Olympics in Canada. I'm Canadian. It's probably easy for me to get a job there. So I moved out west to Whistler and worked for the Olympics, the 2010 Olympics, which was absolutely amazing and allowed me to explore a little bit of the hotel industry stuff. Like, because basically I was helping manage, we were doing property management that were hosting all of the RCMP, so the Canadian Police, and the media. And so I was in the middle of the action, but also in the hotel industry and like managing a lot of things there. And so did that for a year, loved it, skied 100 days. But then again, at the end of that, I was like, I think I gotta get a grown-up job.
So let's stay here for just a moment. A lot of people that listen to this show, they're practitioners, right? They're just like us, and they're going through that journey. So they could be in any stage of this. But my suspicion is that a lot of them have children, and their children are in that situation now that you're describing. So we don't need to go in crazy detail because we do want to get to your full journey here. But what was the thought process going from camp traveling? How far was Whistler from you?
It's across the country.
Okay,
yeah.
So
yeah.
all the way across the country, taking that's a leap, right? That's a leap. That's not easy at that age. What's the thought process there, and how should a parent maybe process that?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay for my child to go do this crazy thing and not have a plan.
Yeah. Well, my parents were very involved in that process, actually. I'm very close with my parents. And it's always when I would get these...
My parents would have said, hell no. Like, that's it. Like, oh, no, they would not have let me go on more than 3 blocks.
You know what? Yeah. I thought they would say no. I remember I had gone skiing with my dad, and we were sitting in the ski lift, and I was like, hey, Dad, I'm going to graduate around the Olympics. So, and I was like, this isn't gonna fly. And he actually liked it. He was like, that's really interesting. And my parents had always said, complete your education. If you stop, you won't want to go back. And so I had like principles like that in mind. They're always like, they're strong workers. They have a lot of like strong work ethics. But what they also, every time I had decisions like that, got me to do was the pro and con list. What are the advantages? What are the inconveniences? What's the downside? What's the upside? And they're also very consistent people. So they had always said, complete your education. And I was completing my education, completing my degree. It also actually meant accelerating a few classes to be on time, and I was committing to that. So I think I did the pros and cons. There weren't that many cons. I told them I was getting a job. I told them, they told me, if things go south, you can come back. You can come back, and they saw commitment. I think because I was accelerating some classes, I had a vision, I had a strong case. I was like, I'm a passionate skier. It's still in Canada, once in a lifetime, the Olympics, right? How often can you work for the Olympics? Being exposed to that. I had studied management, and everybody knows event management, like things like that. It was hard to assume I wouldn't be exposed at all. I could have been. That could have been the case, but I guess they just believed in me and the track record I had so far. And so they just, they had me, they made sure that my thought process was a strong one and a one that made sense. And I think sometimes it's not just for them to be reassured, but I think the more I was convinced, the more I was having that thought process, the more they were hearing confidence. And so they assume, well, how wrong can it go, right?
So do you do that with employees? Do you use some of the same tactics that your parents used with you? Do you do that with your...
Yeah, my parents, the tactics I use with my teams and that I encourage my leaders to use with their teams is one that my parents had used with me, and actually one that a former boss of mine used with me, which is the ask questions.
Yeah.
We often want to give our opinion. We often want to tell people yes or no and tell them what to do. But thinking about what you would like to tell them to do and then reframing that as a question is just so powerful. And same with our kids, right? What are you trying to achieve? What's your biggest goal out of this? What could go wrong? Because then people come, and it's so amazing to see, because you see people like just talk through it, and often first off they don't have this like amygdala hijack of like defensiveness or whatnot, because you're asking questions, and there's also a way to ask questions, obviously, and you see them like start realizing it. And I used to use this a lot at my when I was at McKinsey. One of the roles I played was professional development, so I was coaching a lot of our consultants through their career, and using that approach with them to let them come to the aha moments and let them be in the driver's seat of their career was just so powerful. And so I use that for parenting. I use that for
That's a real skill, though. That's not something
100%.
Everybody can do, to take your opinion and formulate a question and not give your opinion during the question.
I think everyone can learn it, though.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
But it is very much, yes, it takes a ton of letting go of your ego.
It's like not putting the potato chip in your mouth. It's really difficult to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
But at the beginning, I would prepare the conversation. So I would dump all the things I would like to say. So I would almost have the conversation with myself.
Right.
And so get it out of my system.
Yeah.
And then you tweak it, and you're like, well, this could be asked in that way, or this could be asked in that way. And I mean, like, as a parent, I don't always do that, obviously. I've got, my oldest is now 12, teenage years, heading into the teenage years.
Bless you.
But that's what I try to remember and to bring myself back to with the teams. Like, after that, we'll get caught in the moment, and it doesn't mean we're always doing that. But I do think it's a skill most people can learn.
Yeah.
So how did you get from the Olympics to McKinsey? Was there some stops along the way?
There was, yeah. So, there was a huge road trip. So a long road trip, a month through the U.S., all the way down to San Diego and back up. So that was wonderful. And then back to Montreal, I found a role in a headhunting firm. So did that for a year. A boutique firm. I was surrounded with very strong women leaders that are still friends today. But I realized that they believed in me, but I didn't. I felt like I had something to learn before I could advise others on their career.
Right.
I kept saying to myself, "This is a great end of career gig." When you've learned a lot more and you know more, and you can really be a thought partner for these folks. And then someone that I worked with in summer camps and that I had been in campers was a consultant at McKinsey and was like, "Hey, they're looking for a recruiter. You should apply." And so I did. And one of the first things they said to me was like, "You're a bit younger than what we're hoping." And I was like, "I've gotten that before, but let me prove you wrong." And because in the summer camps, it was the same thing. I was only 16. I wasn't the ideal profile of a leader back then for them. And so probably a lot of confidence and influencing, and I got the role and then spent 11 years.
11 years at McKinsey.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And to the progression, so you started in recruiting, but you also did professional development. What are some of the steps?
I did a lot of roles actually at McKinsey. So I started in recruiting and then had some downtime, which I don't do very well with. And so there were a few consultants in the office, some partners that believed in me and brought me along on some projects, which is not common. Normally,
right.
If you're in the support staff, you're in the support staff. And but they brought me to clients and coached me on how to serve clients. They were people-related topics, so they're like, we see you have an instinct. So I used some of the skills that I had, as well as leaning into sponsorship, leaning into people who believed in me, and so started serving some clients. At that point, I debated fully moving into the consulting track.
Right.
But I did have I already had my 12-year-old by then, and so that wasn't that's not how I wanted my life.
At least 80% travel, sometimes 100% travel.
Yeah.
That's a hard bit.
Yeah. And so another sponsor of mine was like, "I think I have this great role that's actually half consulting. You're going to have a client, and then also you can help us build this practice." So thinking about how they serve certain clients. He's like, "It's in institutional investing." And I was like, I'm gonna Google that and I'm going to get back to you. But I always believe if people believe in me, I'm gonna lean in. And so I completely moved out of people. Was not doing anything people related for a few years, and it was so hard. There were tears, a lot of question marks. But I grew tremendously, and honestly, I don't think I would be where I am today if I hadn't taken that gig. That's when some of the analytics started kicking in. That's when I started just not just leading by what I knew, because I didn't know anything in that space, but leading by the judgment I could bring, the questions I could ask, the perspective I could build outside in. And I think that's quite powerful the day that we start leading, not just with expertise, but with who we are. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does, and it's super timely because we just had a conversation and we were talking about, I don't know how does he label it where you're doing the rankings. You have to rank so many at high performer at a 5, low performer at a 1, consistent at a 2 or 3. Yeah. And so one of the questions I had asked him was, because often we'll see individual contributors be fantastic, stellar what they do, and they become really bad leaders because they're just not a leader. But then you have the so-so performers that have amazing ability to lead people. Not saying you're not a great contributor, but it's the competence that you're talking about. You were a great contributor. You led in the camp. You did different things, but then you found this confidence and the ability to ask questions, the ability to probe people and listen and understand. And it's just a timely conversation that we're having now because we just spoke about that.
Yeah. And I failed. Don't get me wrong. At the beginning, some of the meetings I would have, or I would leave the meetings and I'm pretty sure they asked themselves,
Is she coming back?
Yeah, like, why? What? Like, I've had some people say some difficult. I've had like difficult feedback, or like I've had people say like, "Have you you have a brain? Like, do you know how to use it?" And
yeah. Well, for context or edification for the audience, McKinsey is loaded with smart people. So it's just one of these bits that stupid people don't work at McKinsey. And so you're surrounded with sharks that are smart.
You're smart, they're smarter.
Yeah.
Everyone, it's a culture of high performance.
Yeah.
And for years we would say you are surrounded by insecure overachievers. So 100%. Everybody was best of their class. Everybody was sponsored. Everybody, like when I started hiring for them, we were looking at GPAs. 4.0 would be like minimum. Bare
mistakes.
Yeah. And your 4.0, you had to have done many other things, and that was the recipe back then. And like again, this was 15 years ago almost now.
Right,
so different world, different knowledge. But at the same time, when you can ground yourself in that, and it's not always easy, and there are a ton of up and down, but you do learn so much. And what I did appreciate at McKinsey was I was always surrounded by people who had so much heart, so much passion for solving these difficult problems, for helping these organizations, and potentially at times too much. And they have their story, but that spoke to me.
It sounds like you had some great mentors and sponsors around you as well.
I did, and to this day, they're all still in my. They're all still on just a phone call away. And
so why leave McKinsey?
Yeah. So after that, I went to professional development, did that for 5 or 6 years. And then I did a last role, talent management, for a year and a bit. After that, I wanted the next phase of growing up, right? I wanted to see how that played out in industry. I wanted to take that and really build a business. I wanted to be closer to well, that said, actually, I should say I did consider going back to staying in consulting. I did for a little wonder about like people advisory and things like that.
Right.
And I was quite tested in those processes because I was very close to offer, and they were like, "Is this what you want to do, or you want to be in the weeds? You want to be in the business?" And same Katya, when she hired me, she said, "Do you want to keep advising, or you want to like foot in the game?" And there was
different. It's different. Yeah.
Very different. And I chose like a foot in the game, and I started at 1Password. We were 600. We're now close to 1,400. That's my team that's helped build all of that. Being part of that journey is phenomenal. And 1Password has such a strong mission that speaks to me, right? We keep people safe. We protect people's passwords. Yeah. We help older generations. We help people who suffer with mental health because they struggle. Often that's when your memory falls short, or that's when you default to like poor practices. So 1Password has this very real mission, similar to how I felt when I was at McKinsey, I would say. And I wanted to be part of that.
So when you got to 1Password, 600 people, and you're, would you say now 1,200, 1,400?
Close to 1,400.
So what is that hiring? That's a lot of growth. That's a lot of growth, right? What does that hiring look like? Are you doing that manually? Are you talking to people? Like where are you at in this process?
Like me, myself, what's my role in that?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still very involved. Like I'll still interview, especially at the senior leadership level. So I'll still be actively involved in those hiring process. I think it keeps you fresh. It keeps you in the game. Mm-hmm. It helps sanity check some of our processes and our practices. But for the rest of it, I mostly lead the team. So I help ensure that, because it's not a straight line, right? We've never fully frozen hiring since I've been there in the 2 years and a half, but there's times where it's full speed. There's times where let's scale it back. 1Password is a very financially prudent company, so we're also very reactive, right? Depending on what signals we get, we want to make sure that we keep our people safe, keep people employed. And so we will... Sometimes it's like full speed, and so it's helping the team think about volume. What are the new things? So challenging the teams on new approaches, new ways of doing things. But I think that's more the role I play, is like, okay, whispering to them, okay, this is happening. How do we adjust? This might happen. How do we adjust? Right now I'm helping the team think a lot about AI. Our candidates are probably using AI. We're a fully remote company. All of our interviews are remote. What does that mean? How do we protect ourselves from that, from candidates being able to do whatever they want on their own screen in their own space? So the role I play now, I think, is much more of a facilitator and convener of information from what the business is dealing with and what my team needs to know to be able to understand their purpose, and their mission, but also what are all the curveballs that could be coming our way, and making sure that we're thinking about them. When you do interview, do you have a favorite interview question, or do you have a thing that you like to take candidates through? I think nothing crazy. It was funny when I started, somebody had this question about, and they loved their question about, how do you make a grilled cheese? Walk me through making a grilled cheese. And that was that's a McKinsey question. Well, that was a 1Password thing. That was a 1Password. Really? Yeah. Well, why are manhole covers round? Yeah. Well, to them it was because it was in our customer success. So to them, it helped you understand how someone can be very clear and detailed about a process but for me, I think it's just making it personable. I love to spend time at the beginning. I'll make sure to talk about my 2 girls. I'll make sure to talk about the sports I play, where I live, who I am. I'll often make sure I tell people English is my second language. I might trip on my words. That doesn't mean I'm not smart. That doesn't mean I'll make sure to try to be humble, because I've gotten the feedback that then when I jump into the questions, I'm actually quite serious, and then I want to make sure they understand I'm a human, and you're lulling them into a false sense of security.
This is a safe space.
This is what we're doing. What you're really doing is let me tell you all this stuff, and
no, but I mean, I think I'll look like that, but I'm not. That's not what I'm thinking. It's more that I get I can be a very focused person, and then wrap up with same thing, going back to anything at all I can answer. I am an open book. What do you want to know? I want to make sure that people joining us know what they're getting into, and that speaks to them, and so that it's really a win-win. So I think it's more those human steps at the beginning and end.
So final question. I know we're coming up on time here. Final question on my side is somewhat of I'll ask a question, but we just had the conversation with gentleman, the founder and CEO of iProof, which does deepfakes, the security around deepfakes, and just what you're talking about. You're remote, you're interviewing, they are who they say they are, all of that stuff. So it's really interesting that you just
legit threat. Yes.
Yeah. To the point of I don't want to go to sleep tonight type of threats. It's I don't even know that you're Gabrielle. You may be somebody in another country. Well, you're in another country. Yeah. You have to prove to me, I don't even know that you are. But, so, what are you doing? Now, we don't need to know secret sauce, but is that a concern for you right now? As you're interviewing people remotely, or even working with people remotely, are you scared of that?
Yeah. Yes.
That's interesting. Yeah. I've never really, I know it's there, but I never really just thought about it. And so I know it's a random question, but I'm like, okay, you just mentioned it. It's how do you know that I'm Ryan? I don't even know that you're Gabrielle. It's weird.
And it's also because our team is very much create a good experience. We want to make sure that all people also, put people first value. That's one of our core values. So it's how do you strike that balance as well? Because you don't want to go too far down the skeptical train, because at the same time, you do want to trust, and we lead with honesty, and so also same thing with AI, right? You don't want to have this fully automated process, you overuse AI. So quite honestly, it's we don't want to overdo it for candidates, but yet how do we protect ourselves through that? Because some of the candidates aren't as well intended, and they're using it.
That's right.
So it's such a strange balance, frankly, to strike, and we have not solved it, and it is keeping us up at night. Not consistently, in the sense that we like to have faith in humanity, and we're not alone in that trail, in the sense that there's onboarding, there's IT, there's I think it's not. Yeah. We're gonna try to catch it, and so far we've been good at catching it very soon.
Well, y'all are a security company.
Yeah.
Well, so, on top of everything, though, can you imagine if that happened to us?
Well, where Andrew made Ryan and I cry, he said you can't trust your eyes anymore. Your eyes up until a certain point, you could trust your eyes. Now that's gone. Yeah. And the commercialization, these technologies are cheap and they're high quality. So we're at a point now that this isn't futuristic. If you're a practitioner, you've got your head in the sand going, oh yeah, that's something I'll deal with in 5 years.
Yeah. Well, he said last year you could say that. This year you cannot, and next year you definitely cannot.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
Well, he was Tom Cruise on the call for a while.
Yeah.
Like he pulled up a thing, and I was like,
seriously,
well, you look like Tom Cruise.
Seriously, like it legit. So
I mean, we hire about 500 people a year. We have over 200,000 applicants a year. So like, it's there.
Wow.
It's for sure happening. Like,
100%.
So I think it's how do you protect? We're spending a lot of time thinking and educating ourselves on all the ways that we could protect ourselves from that, protect the company from that, but also remain true to our values and who we are. Yeah.
Last question for me is advice you'd give your younger self. What would you?
I do think at one point through all that journey, I did not lose myself, but I did lose a lot of confidence. While kind of fake it till you make it. I played the.
Was that the institutional investing deal?
Yeah, that and just a lot of years in an environment where I was very well supported. I had a lot of sponsors, a lot of people, but it's like I didn't know how to appreciate that, and I only would. There's a point where you're always self-critical. You're very self-critical,
right?
And so I think I would encourage myself to figure out ways to ground myself more often than I potentially did, because around the time I was leaving the firm, like I did have to take a step back. And actually it was thanks to the other interview process I was doing, which was in leadership advisory. They actually grounded me at one point. They're like, and they almost had me in tears at one point during the interview, because they have this introspection type interview where it's very much like, and they're like, think of that Gabrielle at 16 at camp. And I was like, I choked up, and they're like, where is she? And I was like, she's there, but
she's cleaning up vomit. Leave me alone.
She's sucking on her thumb and in fetal position. That's where she is right now.
I think you can have this, like, you can seize all the opportunities you can do, but just make sure that through all that, you are grounded. Like you do embrace it and absorb it. And I would often say I just got lucky, you know.
Be true to thyself is like Shakespearean. Gabrielle, you've been a wonderful guest, and thank you so much for sharing your journey, your story. Other practitioners are going to absolutely love it. So just thank you for being on the show.
Merci.
I knew we'd get it. That's awesome. Thanks for everyone listening and watching. Until next time.